All right, everybody, I'm Logan Allec. I'm a CPA, putting my CPA skills to the test here again today with another tax preparation software review for the Money Done Right YouTube channel. Today, I'm taking a look at Cash App taxes. I will be walking through an entire tax return with Cash App taxes here, right here on screen. And as I go through the tax return, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about it for you so you can see what I think are the pros and cons of this tax software as a CPA. Of course, at the end, I'm just going to kind of give my overall thoughts on how this software is. Cash App taxes is actually new this year. It is basically the same as Credit Karma taxes under a different name because in November 2020, Credit Karma Tax was acquired by Cash App. I did review Credit Karma Tax last year. I found it to be a great free tax return preparation software program. Unlike TurboTax, unlike H&R Block, Credit Karma Tax was able to handle pretty much any tax situation for free. That said, it didn't have quite as much hand-holding as, say, TurboTax. You kind of had to have a little bit more baseline tax knowledge than you would need for TurboTax. But if you kind of know your way around taxes a little bit, know your tax situation pretty well, what deductions you're eligible for, what credits you're eligible for, you could save your money with Credit Karma Tax. And I'm curious to see if Cash App taxes works in the same way. Now, one thing you do need to know is that in order to use Cash App taxes, you will need a Cash App account. If you don't have one yet, you can use my referral link in the description below. There might be a little bonus attached to it if you meet the requirements. The requirements do change from time to time, so I'll let you just click the link down in the description below, see what the current requirements are to get a little Cash App bonus. Okay, so like I said, you do need to have Cash App in order to use Cash App taxes, and it looks like here is prompting me to open up the Cash App on my phone and scan this little QR code thing, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, that was fast. All right, and then apparently it emailed me a code. So let's see here. All right, Cash App confirmation code. There it is. Okay, great. Now it texted me a code apparently. I'll have to look in my current phone. Okay. All right, so now I got to create a new password specifically for Cash App taxes, not for the Cash App itself. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to use biometrics because this is okay. You're all set. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Now we're good to go. All right. Now we got this screen, which is kind of just the basic information you would share with any tax return software program. It's basically asking information about yourself, with your spouse, any dependents. Right off the bat, this looks pretty user-friendly to me. Like, I like the interface. I think they really want to make it really user-friendly, just like the Cash App itself is real user-friendly. I think they want to kind of carry over that user-friendly vibe from the Cash App to Cash App taxes to kind of keep that all consistent. So tell us about yourself. So I create a fake persona. If you don't know, I create this like fake persona for all these tax software reviews. His name's Jimmy Dean. I assume he's basically, he's unmarried. He has his daughter who lives with him the whole year. So that's kind of the persona that I'm going to use for this Cash App tax return review as well. So I'm going to say no spouse. I'm going to say he does have a dependent. Did you receive any advanced child tax credit payments in 2021? I will say yes. Because I'm assuming he has a daughter who qualifies for those. Okay, so I like how there's this little helpful tip, right, to kind of describe what that is. I think it's really helpful when these tax softwares give kind of a little bit of education throughout the process to kind of educate people about their tax situation, so they're not so like dependent on these tax softwares. And I think that indicates, kind of a sense of genuineness, right, that you're kind of teaching people and not just having them use the tax software program as a crutch. Did any of this apply to you? Worked and lived in multiple states? I'm going to assume no, right? I don't really spend a lot of time on states in these tax software reviews because there's 50 of them, plus the District of Columbia, so I don't really spend time with states because I know if I spend time on one particular state, it wouldn't apply to my entire audience. So I'm going to assume no, did not work and live in different states, did not work in multiple states, did not have foreign income over $600. So I'm going to say that he worked for somebody else. I'm not going to deal with self-employment in these reviews because most of the people who watch these don't have self-employment income. I'm going to assume no student, no retirement income. I'm going to assume he got a little bit of interest income, some stock stuff. Didn't sell a home or rental property. I'm going to assume he got nothing like there. Okay, so right off the bat, I like how they, are asking for everything kind of right off the bat, so you can kind of get all out there. I'm gonna see we did not own a home, did not have family. Okay, now this might be a little confusing here because it has stimulus credit under family expenses. I assume the stimulus credit is the recovery rebate credit. That's the credit that people get if they, did not get the full stimulus payments that they were, the full third stimulus payment that they were entitled to get, right? But that's kind of confusing. That's under family expenses because you wouldn't actually have necessarily have to pay any family expenses in order to get that credit. So that's one kind of confusing thing about Cash App taxes. But I'm gonna assume he is entitled to recovery rebate credit because I'm gonna assume that he didn't get any third stimulus payment for his daughter, right? That's just an assumption, right? Just for the purposes of this example. I'm gonna assume they donated to charity. No estimates. No, none of this. None of this. None of this. Now, this is another thing that's kind of weird. Like it says other expenses, alimony paid, theft or loss, gambling losses, etc. Well, how's like somebody who's not like a tax professional supposed to know what these other expenses are, what this etc. is, right? So maybe that's another thing that could be a little bit more clear. All right, welcome to your tax home. Okay, so now we're going to input some basic info. Let's see. So showing your tax info Cash App enhances your experience, improves our ability to provide you with more refund deposit options. Okay, let's see what this does. Actually, I don't know about this. I'm not going to do that. All right, so now we're gonna now just FYI, it initially had my personal information in here because for my Cash App, but we're not going to use that information. Obviously, we're going to use this fake person's information. What do I have? This is address. 501 Wilcox. Phone number. I don't know. I'm making this up. Don't call this number. Probably doesn't even work. All right. So social security number, I'm going to make it up. What did I give them? Sometimes they kick it back because they can tell it's fake. 777. Right. So it accurately detected head of household, even though I haven't given dependent information yet. I think I did say that I had a dependent, but I haven't inputted her information, but it kind of detected that. So I'm going to say yes. Oh, it gives you choices here. Okay. So usually you like type it in. Okay, am I going to put other? I think they're putting choices here, maybe for some kind of data collection purposes, right? Because with a lot of these apps, yeah, Cash App provides a service. It's a money transfer service. But a lot of what they do is just collect people's data, right? Other tax software programs, you would just type it in like this, right? You just type, there would be no like drop down, but here there is a drop down. I'm just gonna say other sausage maker because obviously this is, okay. All right, your SSN has to match your Cash App account. Okay, obviously I have my real social security number in my Cash App account. I'm trying to use a fake one here. It doesn't like that. So I'm going to have to put my real social here, and my video editor will be blurring this out. All right. So you would obviously pick the ones that apply to you here. I'm going to assume none of these apply to him, this fake person. All right. So now we're going to talk about his fake daughter. With a fake social security number and a fake birthday. Daughter. How they live with you in 2021, 12 months. Okay. And yes, I provide at least half of their support. I'm assuming that. I'm assuming she lives with him and he supports her. I'm assuming none of these apply for the daughter. All right. So save and continue. Okay. So here's an example of something where like TurboTax would take you sequentially through this. Like, okay, you're done with your dependents. Now let's move on to the next thing, right? It really holds your hand. Looks like Cash App taxes. It's kind of like, okay, we did your dependents. Now you got to go back to tax home and then, kind of do all the other things. So it's not quite as seamless. I do like how it shows the federal refund and state refund up there. Summary. Okay, this is cool. This is actually really cool how it kind of shows you this, like an easy to read format. So, this is kind of confusing because this is like the child tax credit, right? But this $3,000 is the child tax credit for his daughter. But they have it under taxes paid here. And I get why they do that based on the Form 1040 form. But, so this is basically because on the Form 1040, like refundable tax credits are kind of grouped as total payments, right? So like, for example, because we're not showing any tax liability for him yet because we haven't inputted his W-2 yet, right? It thinks that his $3,000 tax credit for his daughter is entirely refundable. He has no tax liability yet that the Cash App taxes software knows of because we haven't inputted his income yet. So it thinks the whole thing is refundable because it thinks he doesn't have income, right? And on the Form 1040, as opposed to non-refundable credits, refundable credits are grouped with payments, right? Like actual payments of tax, like withholding from your paycheck or, estimated tax payments you made. So that's why they do it. Right? But to like a layman doing this or someone who doesn't know that, they might be confused when they see the $3,000 here in taxes paid. Because it's like, I didn't pay $3,000 worth of taxes, that amount even. Why is this here? So maybe that could be, but in Cash App taxes defense, it does explain this here. It says, this total also includes any estimated payments you've sent to the IRS throughout the year, as well as refundable credits you're eligible to claim. So it does explain it here if you click on the little I in its defense. But still, it's a little, the screen itself is a little bit confusing. If I were to design this, I would put like non-refundable credits here. And here I would put taxes paid and non-refundable, or taxes paid and refundable credits, kind of like it says here, total payments and refundable credits. Anyway, okay, now we're going to input his income. And I made up a fake W-2 for him. Here it is for big company, 633 West 5th Street. Oh, what's the fake EIN I gave? 99999. Okay. It's kind of like cool, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? 99999. All right. Whose form is this? This form belongs to me. Employer's name. What did I say? Big company. This is all fake information. Doesn't really matter. 633 West 5th Street. All right. So now, obviously, we input his information. So we're saying the wages and everything is 83,867.54. Let me move my face so you can see the whole thing. All right, so it's often good to just kind of like copy and paste it if you can, so you don't miss anything. Federal income tax withheld, 7205.8. Isn't it amazing how much of our money goes to the government in taxes? It's just kind of crazy. And we don't only pay federal income taxes, we also pay Social Security taxes, Medicare taxes, all kinds of taxes. State income taxes. This is going to be the same. Medicare tax withheld. All right. And I just made these numbers up, by the way. Okay, so what's the next box he's got? 7, nothing in 7, no 8, no 9, no 10, 12. C, 417.49. All right. Oh. He's got 3 in box 12, so 12. It's D 131.25. Next one is double D 24199.76. These are, by by the way, this D is like 401k contributions, and that's the difference between box 1 and box 3 and 5 here. 131.25 is the difference between these two numbers, because the amount you contribute to your 401k reduces your taxable wages on your tax return, right? That's why this is A3 867.54, which is $131.25 less than the Social Security wages, but it does not reduce your Social Security wage base and your Medicare wage base, right? So your 401k contributions reduce your taxable wages on your Form 1040 that you pay regular income tax on, but it does not reduce the amount of your wages subject to the Social Security tax and the Medicare tax. All right, double D, 24199.76. All right, boxes 13 and 14. Yes, for retirement plan, California STI 835.81. All right. State is California. I'm going to copy and paste this. State wage, this is going to be the same. One state, so 83,868. State income tax 4848.62. You'll notice that like Cash App taxes is rounding these into figures. That's because figures are rounded on tax returns. You don't put the cents on the tax returns. No local stuff. Anything else on this W-2? Nope. Okay, so you've input the W-2. Let's say this W-2. And okay, I guess I at the bottom here, it looks like they have an option to upload your W-2 instead. I'm not going to do that because this is obviously fake W-2. All right, you can add another W-2. I'm assuming this is the only job. I'm going to say back to tax home. All right, savings and interest. Interest income. All right, new interest form. I made up a fake interest form for him. $100 of interest income from big bank. Oh, okay. Payers 1111111. I'm not going to put the account number because you don't have to. And then there's $100 of interest income in box 1. That's it. I do have a video on the channel about Form 1099 interest if you're interested in it. Basically just explaining the form. Okay. These are fairly uncommon boxes, but of course check your 1099 interest. None of this. All right, so you can add, if you got another 1099, you would add it, or you just hit continue. Wait, what? Okay, add interest income without a Form 1099 interest. This is if someone pay, you received taxable interest income without a Form 1099. I'm assuming Jimmy doesn't have that. All right, so we got the interest in there. Back to tax home. Okay, now we're going to do the investments really quickly. So I kind of have this kind of dummy brokerage account that I set up at Schwab just so I can do these tax software reviews. I don't have the 2021 tax statement yet, but I do have the. I'm just using 2020. Hasn't really changed, right? So it'll work fine for example purposes here. So I'm going to include the ordinary dividends, the qualified dividends from the 1099 dividend. So this is like 68, and this one's going to be 63. Okay. Let me move me back up to the top here. All right, add new dividend income. Payer name is Charles. Oh, maybe I should move myself back down here. Sorry, guys. Payer is Charles Schwab and Company, Inc. The EIN is this number here. I'm not going to bother with the account number. All right, dividend belongs to Jimmy. Ordinary dividends, what was it? 67.95, 63.29. So I'm going to round up to 68 and round down to 63. Oh, okay. And there was nothing else on this 1099 dividend, right? So there's nothing else for me to input. If there was like foreign tax paid, then I would obviously input that to get the foreign tax credit. And then I would also look through the dividend detail in the back and like add up the amount of ordinary and qualified dividends I got, from foreign securities. If you don't know the difference between ordinary and qualified dividends, check out my video on how dividends are taxed. Okay, so we did that. All right, we have nothing else on my particular Form 1099 div. Yours might have this information. Mine doesn't. So I guess we got to click through all these boxes still. Okay, so I'm not going to add any new dividend income because that's all that I'm assuming this individual has. All right, now we're going to do stock sales. All right, so in the stock sale selection, you can input one sale at a time, which is very tedious. I don't do that. Or you can do a summarized entry, right? You can break it down by category. I tend to do this. So I'm going to do that in this example. All right, so I'm going to do a summarized entry. So let's look down here at the gains and losses. Okay, there is like an interest income here, but it's for 2 cents, which is got to be rounded down to 0, so I'm not going to input that. All right, so here's like the gains and losses. Okay, so you can see here. So this is short-term transactions for which basis is reported to the IRS. Box A. So they should give me an option in cash out taxes to indicate box A. Right, okay. So I'm just going to call this, Schwab box A. And then I'm just going to pull from the bottom here. Total short-term cost basis reported to the IRS, which is box A. Proceeds, $127.64, which is going to round up to $128. Cost basis, $116.87, which is going to round up to $117. So I'm going to do $128 and $117. And then there is like a little bit of wash sale here, but it's negligible. It's going to round down to 0, so I'm not going to include that. Okay. Continue. Okay, so let's see if I have more sales on here I need to input. Now, these are long-term transactions for which basis is reported to the IRS. So that's box D, right? So now I got to get the box D totals, right? Which is total long-term cost basis reported to the IRS. That's the box D, right? So I'm going to do these amounts. Add more sales. Summarize entry and call it Schwab. Box D. The proceeds were $5,044. So $5,045 and $4,222, right? And it's box D. Right, I don't know, $5,045, $4,222. Right, okay. Were there any wash sales? Let's see. Again, the wash sale was negligible at 32 cents, so I'm not going to input it. Continue. I mean, if it was like 50 cents, I would round it up to $1 and input it. But because it's under 50 cents, I'm going to ignore it. All right, continue. All right, so that is basically how to input stocks. Obviously, this was a very basic stock situation. Didn't have any foreign taxes paid or anything like that. No margin interest. So just straight kind of index fund investing here. So ETF investing rather. Capital loss carryover. I'm glad they asked this question because, as a CPA, one thing I see a lot is when people start a new tax software is that they don't, or they go to a new tax professional or they start using a new tax software without carrying over their old tax returns. Sometimes they forget about their capital loss carry forward, right? I mean, the market's been stock market has been, going kind of pretty consistently up. I mean, right now as I'm recording this, there's kind of a little, the Fed's kind of playing games with our hearts, and it's kind of in a little dip right now. But even if, let's say you sold stock at a loss, right? You can only take up to you first net those stock capital losses for the year against your stock capital gains for the year, right? But if your losses exceed your capital losses exceed your capital gains for the year, you can only deduct up to $3,000 worth of capital losses against your non-capital gain income. The rest is carry forward indefinitely, right? So that's what this is. I'm going to assume he doesn't have any, but if he did, well, you know what the heck? Let's say he has $1,000 carried over from last year, and you would see this on your previous year Schedule D, right? So let's just say he has 1,000. Oh, enter your losses as negative numbers. Got it. Okay, so there's capital loss carry forward $1,000. All right, I'm going to assume no original issue discount and no 1226 contracts and straddles. Okay, so I think we got all his income in there. Now, of course, this is the child tax credit. Didn't I say, though, that he got advanced child tax credit payments? So why is it giving him the full $3,000 for his daughter? Let's see this here. Okay, so I guess you got to go in here. So this is another thing that I think is I'm kind of annoyed by, because if I recall in a previous screen, I told Cash App Taxes that this taxpayer did receive advanced child tax credit payments, right? So if that's the case, they should have probably asked me what that amount was and not have to depend on me clicking edit/review for it, right? Because some people might look at this and think, oh, cool, I got some credits, right? But you're in this situation, if you receive advanced child tax credit payments, you're not going to get that whole thing, right? It's going to be that $3,000 you have to subtract the amount of advanced child tax credit payments you received throughout the last half of 2021. So I'm gonna say he received, it'd be $300 a month for 6 months. Is that right? No, for the older child, it's $250 a month, right? So I'm gonna assume that he got $1,500, $250. It began in what, July, August, September. Yeah, those payments began in July 2021. So 6 months of them times $250 for the older child is $1,500. It's based on one qualifying child, right? So that he should only get a $1,500 child tax credit, right? Okay, and the stimulus credit. So I'm going to assume that he didn't receive a third stimulus payment for his daughter. So I'm going to say, let's see. How do you say that he... So this is kind of a weird question. Are you still due your third stimulus payment? Well, what if you received it, but you didn't receive it for your child? I guess you have to hit yes here. I wish that question was specified, was a little more specific. So I'm gonna assume he only received $1,400, right? And he didn't receive $1,400 for his daughter for third stimulus. So in that case, right, yeah, he's eligible for a $1,400 recovery rebate credit for the $1,400 stimulus check he didn't get for his daughter. Okay, I'm going to assume no credit for elderly and disabled, no adoption credit. All right, so charity, I'm going to assume that he gave like $500 to charity. Now, special rule only for 2020 and 2021 was even if you don't itemize your deductions as he doesn't, you can still deduct up to $300 for charity. Okay, so what about so I guess it's basically assuming he doesn't have any itemized deductions based on the questions we answered previously. It's interesting because other tax software programs you would walk through it and they would show you a screen, right? Just making sure that you shouldn't be itemizing. But I guess Cash App Taxes isn't doing that. I guess it's up to you to kind of review So like, okay, I guess one of my questions is let's say that I actually, he does actually own a home and he pays like mortgage interest and stuff like that on it. But let's say he forgot to indicate it previously. Like, I kind of wish there was like a section here maybe where you could, do home expenses or something. But I guess it's just kind of trusting that you answer the questions correctly beforehand. So I guess this is it. Now, let's look at the summary here. Okay, so I guess here when we look at the summary, it talks about the standard versus itemized deductions. Let's look at okay, so can we look at the actual tax returns? We can. That's cool. Okay, so I think this is cool because you can actually see like a draft version of your tax return. Some tax return softwares, it's not that I couldn't really figure out how you can see this, and I don't think they let you even see it, which is kind of annoying because it's nice to kind of be able to review, your tax return and make sure it looks good, right? Okay, so yeah, there's the wages, there's the interest, there's the dividends, capital gain or loss. That's negative 166. I think the total gains or losses from the forms are $800, but I assumed he had like $1,000 capital loss carry forward. Total income looks good. Standard deduction looks good, right? This all looks good. There's a $1,500 child tax credit, $1,400 stimulus credit. Okay, refund. So that all looks good. And then you can look at the detailed forms too, kind of like later on. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, so now, so it's cool we can review them. And it looked good to me, looked accurate. So that's good. Now I guess we do is we just start the state taxes. Oh, let's actually go back to this here. Like, I guess it gives you the option to choose itemized, but it just knows because like, hey, you don't own a home and some other things that we didn't answer yes that applies to us. It's inferring that we don't, that it wouldn't be good to itemize deductions, right? Because you need to have itemized deductions over what, like 18,000 something for head of household in order for itemizing deductions to be worth it rather than the standard deduction. Okay, so, it's got kind of the calculations here. All right, so this all looks good. I like this. I really like the summaries here in Cash App Taxes. I actually like how they break it down like this. I like it better actually in TurboTax and H&R Block in terms of kind of giving you a nice tight little summary you can access at any time. My one complaint was kind of this, right? I wish this said taxes paid and refundable credits, but that's okay. Just a suggestion to Cash App Taxes if you're watching this. Now, last thing to do is do the state taxes, which is free as well. And I guess we have to hit California again. Okay. Well, California is the only state. Oh, check this box if you lived and worked in one state for all of 2021. So it says we're not accepting California taxes yet. Okay, fine. All right, you can check your state's launch. So I can't show you guys state because it's not available yet. That's okay, because I mean it's going to be California, and California doesn't apply to everybody who's watching this. But basically, I guess they have dates here for when different states will be open. Some are TBD, like California. Right, some have dates like early February or mid-February. So, well, I guess that's it. I'm obviously not going to file this tax return because it's fake, and Cash App actually knows my real Social Security number, and I don't want this tax return to be filed on my behalf. So I'm definitely not going to file this. Okay, so but let's just kind of get as far as we can. So dependent care credit, that's like if you paid for childcare. I'm going to assume he didn't. And then review for error. Okay, so I'm not going to click this button because I don't want to file this fake tax return on my behalf. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this review and walkthrough of the Cash App Taxes tax return software. I enjoyed making it for you. Now I'll just kind of sum up with some pros and cons that I perceive for the program. First pro is that Cash App Taxes is absolutely free, right? No matter your tax situation. Maybe not if you file in multiple states, but if you just have one federal return, one state return, no matter if you itemize deductions, no matter if you have investment property, rental properties, stocks, I assume crypto as well. Whatever credits you have a small business, you can file your taxes for free through Cash App Taxes. Second pro is that I like the user interface. It's simple, it's clean, it's friendly, it's easy to use. Very similar to the Cash App. You see some other tax softwares where the interface is just kind of very cluttered and there's all these buttons and boxes everywhere. I felt like Cash App Taxes made it very simple and straightforward. The third thing I liked about Cash App Taxes is that it would have those little the little letter I with a circle around it that you could click on to kind of give you more information and education about the box that you're filling out. Another thing I liked about Cash App Taxes is that it was accurate, right? It got the job done. I mean, most tax return softwares will be accurate, but it's still a pro, right? Because theoretically, tax softwares can mess up. Another thing I liked about Cash App Taxes was that you're able to review the actual draft tax form at any time. It also had that nice little summary kind of box, right? That you can just review at a high level your tax return details. All right, as far as cons go, the first con is I think there were just some things that could have been thought through a little bit better. For example, when it talked about like family expenses and it had like the stimulus credit under that was referring to the recovery rebate credit, that's kind of confusing because you don't necessarily need to have any tax beneficial family expenses in order to get the recovery or rebate credit. So I thought that was a little confusing. How in the summary screen, how it would have like the refundable credits under taxes paid, explained why it did that, but still I wish it might have said like taxes paid and refundable credit. So I think there's a little bit of kind of user interface thing or user UI UX things there that could have been thought through, or not even UI UX, but just kind of things could have been phrased just a little bit better with some things on Cash App Taxes. Another kind of con of Cash App Taxes is that it doesn't really hold your hand as much as maybe some tax softwares that you would pay for. Like I'm thinking especially like TurboTax. You kind of have to know things, right? So there are some instances where I kind of had to know like, oh, I would have to like edit the child tax credit that this taxpayer received in advance, or you have to kind of just hit add for a new tax item. It doesn't hold your hand like sequentially, sequence by sequence, screen by screen, like TurboTax does. And another con, and I don't know if this is really a con if you already use Cash App, but obviously to use Cash App Taxes, you have to use the Cash App, right? So that could be a con for some people who just want to use a free tax software, but now they have to download the app as well. Of course, with Credit Karma Tax, that was similar, right? You'd have to become a Credit Karma Tax or a Credit Karma user, sign up for Credit Karma in order to use Credit Karma Tax as well, right? So it's kind of a carryover from those days. All right, everybody, those are my pros and cons. That's my walkthrough of Cash App Taxes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have some other tax return software walkthroughs right over here and here. Right here, I got the TurboTax tax software review and walkthrough for this year, and I got the H&R Block one as well. Please check out those videos, give them a like, and subscribe to the channel for more great financial content. See you in the next video, everybody. Bye-bye.